What do the initials AFP mean to me? Accomplishing fruitful partnerships between my organization and its donors.
People who belong to AFP have an aptitude for perseverance.
AFP members have a feeling of pride that their work matters in our community.
AFP has had a fabulous past.
3 gentlemen contacted me in early 1968 and said that they were hoping to organize a Texas chapter of the National Society of Fundraisers, which was then New York based and had 5 chapters. And they thought we could become the 6th chapter. If we hurried, we could beat Georgia, because Atlanta was making noise. You had to have 10 members, and then you could petition for a charter. So I gathered up a couple carloads of my people, and we went, so we'd have enough. And we did the paperwork. We asked for the charter, and we were given the charter at our meeting in Austin later that spring. The purpose was, more than anything else, it was fellowship. A fundraiser then had no colleagues, no ties to anybody who understood. To try to explain to your mother what it is you do. You can't, because there is no typical day in a fundraiser's life.
I joined AFP in 1981. One of the first people I met when I joined AFP was Byron Welch, and he has stayed as a mentor to me throughout my life. Byron has had probably the largest impact of anybody in the local chapter for what's happened to this organization. Byron Welch epitomizes everything that's good about fundraising, and it is most fitting that our senior award that we offer as a profession here at AFP is given in Byron Welch's name.
We moved to Houston, I would say it was about 1966. Houston was just beginning to become a big city. Houston did not look to whether you came from the main line or some other place. They just said, welcome to Houston. Are you prepared to work with us and help build this city? And if you were given all kinds of opportunity to volunteer yourself, your money, and your time.
Houston has a great history of philanthropy. The names of foundations and donors are found on streets, on buildings, and fountains. This city is a city that was built on individualism, but it was built on a communal understanding of you have a responsibility to other people as well. I think it's important for any community to have a thriving AFP chapter, because philanthropy is a personal decision, and AFP advances philanthropy primarily through advocacy, through educating its members, and by setting ethical standards.
I think oftentimes when donors are thinking about organizations, they do a lot of research, and they themselves look into the organization to see that they have upheld their practices as they best should. AFP has really helped to push forward the ethical standards that you live by, and as the organization becomes more and more professional, I think the ethical standards become more and more entrenched.
One of the great challenges of being a development officer is to balance institutional priorities with the priorities of the giver. And that involves a lot of very subtle positioning, listening, targeting, follow-up, cajoling, really all of the above. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the subtlety that requires. It's not an easy job at all.
When I first got into the nonprofit industry, I didn't know much about it, but I knew that it resonated with me, and so I took a course called Introduction to Fundraising that was put on by the AFP Houston chapter. It rotated back and forth between Rice and the University of Houston. I took my series at the University of Houston, and it really showed me a world that I felt I could belong in.
I really love to teach about our industry and to spread that knowledge base, bring some clarity to the topic, the fact that it is indeed a science and it is an art form that is a specialty that really takes quite a bit of skill and integrity and prudence.
Being part of this association has really made a difference to my career. I went to my very first fundraising conference in the summer of 1978. There were probably 1,000, 2,000 people at that conference. 70% of the people there were men. You go to an AFP conference now, you go to one of our chapter luncheons or the courses we teach at Rice University, it's about 70–80% women. So it's done a complete flip.
I think as fundraisers, we all have an incredible responsibility to be good guardians of the philanthropic process and of philanthropy. And even though I realize that as the profession has grown so much, that there has to be accountability, it's also important for us to maintain the spirit of philanthropy, and it is about friend raising rather than just fundraising.
AFP has helped build my career in terms of giving me that foundation to grow from, and I've used AFP as a good resource for a lot of different reasons. So I would say it has made an impact on my career to where I am now president and CEO of Camp for All.
When I close my eyes and think of Camp for All, I think of the most beautiful place in the world. I'm not referring to the landscape, I'm referring to the faces of Camp for All, to the people who are there, the staff, the participants. It is the most remarkable place I think I've ever seen.
I have a strong feeling and a strong support actually for what Camp for All does and for the fundraising that is required in order to continue that. For my daughter, it's given her the courage to take care of herself. It's giving her the courage to walk into a room and know that she is special and that yes, she may have spina bifida, but as in Heather's words, it doesn't have her. Camp for All has meant so much to us as a family, and I'm very confident that my daughter would not be the young lady that she is if it wasn't for Camp for All and for everything that people have given.
I've always said if you could take a air balloon and go up above the city of Houston and take a photograph of the city, and you could erase all of the buildings that have been built by individuals being charitable to other organizations, there'd be a lot of vacant lots in Houston.
I don't believe any development officer would ever go out and say, I'd like for you to give me $1,000. You basically are talking about your program and what it would do and what a difference it could make. And it just so happens to do that particular thing would take $1,000 to get it done. So a fundraiser in many respects never asks for dollars, but they ask for support for a worthy cause.
As a fundraiser who's been in the business for over 30 years, the one thing I really want the community to understand about fundraising and the fundraising profession is it is a highly complex, highly stressful, high demand profession that takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of understanding of people to make it all work.
I think that the world of fundraising is changing and it's becoming more diverse from what it used to be some years ago. The world is not made up of all of one or all of another. You need to learn how to interact with everybody, learn how to work with everybody. I'm a huge proponent of people needing to be able to identify with whoever it is they're talking to.
The AFP organization is a significant group, not only locally but nationally. And so it provides many, many services, not only to the newcomer, but to the seasoned development officer. And clearly, it's an organization where we can express our thanks to our donors. And when they make a significant contribution to this institution, it's a real vote of confidence.
National Philanthropy Day is such an important day for the AFP community here in Houston. It's really our chance as professionals in the nonprofit field to look back and to celebrate the achievements that we've made in the last 40 years and to look forward to the future with eyes wide open for all the things and all the possibilities that we have.
Thank you for celebrating our professional fundraisers and recognizing some of our citizens, whether they be donors or fundraisers. It's time and it's appropriate that we take time to celebrate just the fact that there are fundraisers in the community, both professional fundraisers
and lay fundraisers. It provides a needed human infrastructure for this community, and we should take pride that we lead the nation in many respects in our philanthropy.